Have to go at the same time. Doing it again.
Now we're live. Now we're live.
Yeah! Ana Ribeiro, project manager, lead developer.
There we go. Jump into the next room.
Alright, so we're going to the next room now? Let's go. What's this? Go now.
Oh, didn't take me.
And
We invite you. Alrighty, we are live with the Pixel Rip Developer PSVR Chat Show, and it's exciting. Let's just jump right into it, as I usually say.
Just a bit more interactive to walk into the guys wire it up so we can. We just keep walking.
Sorry
forward,
about the
keep walking
mosquitoes.
forward.
They
Keep
might
walking
bite.
forward.
This is so cool. Just a
The
little bit.
leaves.
Pretty cold out
This
here,
is
guys.
wild.
A little bite doesn't
Give
hurt.
particles, which is great, so that helps as well. But
ready,
Well.
ready.
He made everything pixel art here. It's quite impressive, you know, all this work. And Master
it's
looks
crazy.
exactly like Master.
So cool.
Look at this. Anyone who's played Pixel Rip.
Bass is dropping.
Fantastic.
so good.
That's the Final Fantasy 1 character.
Smashed it, man. Absolutely smashed it.
We're in 2D, 3D.
2D,
Damn
3D.
right.
2D, 3D.
2D, 3D.
Seraphim's invented a new medium.
Man,
Look, it's happened because of you guys.
you can see like the little
Oh, absolutely.
every
Velp,
movie.
thank you very
How you
much.
doing?
That's just
We're chatting
Ryan
on
and,
stream.
Velp
And Jimith did the bad guys up there.
Yo.
Oh yeah, those things are
The most
really
complex
cool.
chat show ever made.
Anna
over here. Oh yeah, it's like a big school trip to organise.
Crazy.
Look at this. I want a special
so
thanks to Dorky and Velp.
Yes.
They were extremely
Dorky
big help.
and Velp.
Helped us make it an amazing world
great
tour
job.
instead
King.
of just a jumping art piece we're capable of doing. They're taking
Yeah.
us to the
King,
next
man.
level.
Yeah,
Thank you guys
good job, man.
for what
Good
you
job.
do.
Massive,
Thank you
massive
so much.
props.
Really well done.
Awesome work.
VR God, how you doing, man?
Thank you,
guys.
thank you, thank you.
Good to
Hey,
see
good to see you, man.
Jimith, thank you. Worked hard on this
All
stuff
right.
too every time.
So much stuff.
We're still
Everyone
messing around.
mucked in. And then one
Yes,
is
man. So
So
good.
cool. Be a god.
Savage.
Hey, what's up,
How's it
dude?
going?
Hey,
Oh,
good.
I just realized, man. Winston. I just sent you another one.
So
That
who
was
are
really
you? I
cool,
don't know
man.
who you are.
Hey, thanks, man.
Oh, well, I go by a few different names, but VR God in Rec Room. I usually
Look at
play
this
as
guy. Look at this
Supertrampyuuki.
guy. Look. It's the wizardy bloke.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
His official name
Wizardy,
Wizardy
bloke.
Bloke.
It's a mysterious guy. It's called Master. He doesn't have a name.
Master, yeah. The master.
He doesn't have a name.
Did you not give him
He's Master.
The master.
Well, now he's got a new name.
It's
Can we
mysterious.
not call it? Can we not call him Wizardy bloke?
Yeah, that's a good name.
Oh, hail
GT coined a name for a character.
Hey.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that though. I like the fact that.
One day we reveal his identity.
Oh, man. That'd be crazy.
Secrets already. Just walks
For
in
now,
there.
Wizardy bloke.
He's a ninja.
Big savior.
I mean, for next time you actually make
Man,
one.
look at this.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal.
Right, where's Jimith, man? Jimith, what's next?
It's crazy
bro?
walking through it. You know, it's
Didn't
wild.
have the
Actually, physically walking through it.
Okay,
It's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, it's cool, eh? It's a bit of a trip out.
It's like, this isn't how it's supposed to work. We're not supposed to walk through here.
Sorry,
Let me get out. Let me get out.
Boundary breaking.
Nuts,
Sidewinding.
man.
Who doesn't want
It
to
still blows my mind. Like, I haven't said hello.
It's weird, eh? Like how it's 3D.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like we shouldn't be walking.
I want to
through
make
it.
more
We're
stuff like
walking.
this.
Hey, preacher.
What's going on, dude?
Don't punch me. Don't punch me.
Come
Come on.
on, let's go. Oh, we got a schoolyard fight already.
Come on, come on.
Break it up.
Small enemies.
Now's not the time, guys.
Okay.
Break it
We'll
up.
put aside our differences, but only just once. Go.
Let's keep the party going. Pixel School.
Pixel nice.
Next.
There we go.
Now, should be getting a new invite. Yeah, he sent
new
out a
invite?
new invite, yeah.
This is so complicated.
You just gotta look at your wrist and click go now and you'll be good.
Too many people, I can't move.
Look at this. It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yay.
This is fantastic. I've no idea.
Insane.
Oh man.
All right. Anna's gonna get her outfit on.
Yeah.
Niceness.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Did you have anybody else that you needed to get in before we start?
So the CEO, so Ricardo is the CEO of Arvoria. He wants to join too. I'm just trying to see if he's coming or not. I have to add him as a friend.
Yeah, no worries. Well, we can wait.
How do I teleport to a seat again? I can't remember how to do that.
As well. I think they made it inactive, so you can't do that.
Oh,
okay, just move
Yeah,
around.
you just gotta like move on it, I think.
Yeah, that's cool so much.
Cool.
That's what I wanted. Awesome. Yes. Now we just need to play with while
Is this spot taken?
Ask him his username.
No, the only one just
Bad guys
so
at the window there, look. To your left.
Sitting down. I'm sitting down.
To your left, Brian. Look, bad guys.
Brilliant, yes.
Classroom food.
What's going on, Dirk?
Dirky, I'm Ryan from VR Chat.
What do you call him again?
Here, man.
Hey, get
So he's installing. He's coming, but he's installing Rec Room again. So we can start and then he join afterwards. If that's, I can give you to you.
Sorry, I swore. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Jason,
Everyone in here.
Yes.
can message you their tag, their usernames, and then when I'm here,
Here in a second.
Yeah.
I mean they can join afterwards, and then you can. Cause
that have already been submitted.
I'm gonna send you on Steam. I mean on Discord. Sorry.
And then we'll
Okay.
go.
So
Here back here.
and I'll get them in. I'll add them on here, and
Oh,
then
all the
we'll
way
have a
there?
friend request waiting for me.
Right over there.
How do I mute all of you? It will come back in a
Yeah,
second.
There you go.
You can have this. You can have this. Look.
Cool.
Here we go. Oh wow. I've got two now.
It's a feeling that they're
Double
just...
trouble.
That was yours.
What?
You play Evasion
ready to
Online?
learn.
You ended up with the cheap edition of the game. You play Evasion
Yeah,
Online?
that's cool.
Not online.
Hey,
just,
VR
portable
Martin.
one. Just
How's it going, man? Thanks for
I
tuning
played
in.
like
This is the one.
3 hours
I
single
still
player.
play.
I got a creepy stalker
Are you digging it?
photos of me, right? You can hide.
I don't think we're all
We're streaming, aren't we?
We definitely will, right? For sure. When are you gonna beat the room? Or when are you gonna beat the door?
So good. What was that?
You gotta beat the door
It's an
soon, man.
amazing...
The whole gang's
We can talk about the ending of the
Oh,
door.
I know. I
Making this.
was gonna do it today, and then I ended up playing Astrobot and Catch and Release. Have you seen that?
No,
That
Ryan,
happened.
You need to do an
does
entire
that.
playthrough door so that I can watch it and then beat
It's
it.
amazing, dude.
I don't want
It's so much fun.
I do not want to struggle.
I will tell you how to beat the door. I did it.
You got it figured.
I did it all on my own. It was
What's
really
the
tough.
playtime on that?
You gonna help?
About like 5 hours if you blast through it, but like
Awesome.
one of the puzzles took me like a solid hour on
Stick
its own.
around, Grid.
Do you like that? I made that.
Excellent stuff.
Was
that like
Brian, where's
fast though,
Dave
wasn't it?
Station at?
Space Invaders.
Dave's not coming. He said he won't be able to
not
make
coming.
it.
I'll
Yeah.
make that
Yeah, he said he won't be able to tune
Oh,
in.
can't he make it?
He's got a work
knock
thing.
off your
Yeah,
console.
big work thing.
Mine.
Oh,
I'm pretty impressed with how many YouTubers there are right now in one room.
That's cool. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sick, dude. It's so cool.
Salsa, here's salsa.
So let me know
So
when
I
you're ready,
think we
Anna.
should. Yeah, I'm ready. I just I've sent that. So yeah, Ricardo is like installing Rec Room now, so it's gonna. I don't know how long it's gonna take. But he can join us. He can join us
How's it
afterwards.
going, man?
Salsa.
Oh,
Native.
Jimith. Autumn and
Nice.
I'll see you as soon as he
Take a
comes
seat,
in.
or you can stand.
What's up, go Cannon? Is this going to be
Oh well, you know, see down the book back here. There's a book. I can. Is the book any good? Is the book any good? Can I distract, teacher?
If you switched.
Huh? Oh
You
yeah.
mind if you switched?
I
No,
don't
no,
go
no,
forwards.
wherever you want me. Yeah. You, Brian,
I've
top right.
sorry, I've got to
Your
go.
new chair has been
Brian, your
reassigned
priority seating's here.
You've been
Priority
reassigned
seating. You're a royalty, man.
right here.
Let's play multiplayer salsa.
Wait, I don't want to move. I like my seat.
Okay.
Okay, let's play.
I just wanted to give you
Let's play, dude. Let's play.
Did you just get pushed
No,
out?
you're not. You just
He just
think
got
you
pushed up
are.
to first class.
Were you that kid that sat in the
That's
back
alright.
of the
They
room?
sat me next to someone really nice.
Actually,
Yeah, I feel like
we can battle.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
sit everyone's seat, man.
Where'd mine go?
Digimon.
Chaos goes down in 2
I'm
seconds.
gonna keep running
I
around.
think Brian took mine.
That's alright. You good? No.
I think I
Game
remember
to get my coffee.
I'll try it out. I'll go for the high score. Look how incredible that is. There's so much tiny detail in this. A little Game Boy with a joystick.
Ryan from Without Parole.
Just incredible.
Jimith, Seraphim, Salsa Ketchup. Ryan from the VR group behind us, and we've got Dorky.
There we go. We are properly
Holy
caffeinated.
shit, man. So many people with no light.
Can anyone
Whoa,
hear?
what's up, man?
Can anyone hear?
Ah, Killer Tricks. Sure, man.
So,
We
first
will.
rule of the
We
room,
will.
anyone who hates
Afterbot.
Can you hear?
Tonight, though? Spiral?
Shit!
I just put the push to talk on because I was sort of like.
Me, Shug.
I was going
Me.
to stream off and I didn't want to
See,
go
this
over
is what I think
the
of
top
Astrobot.
Come in and ask questions. And
Hope everyone saw that. The preacher plays.
Preacher
The preacher plays.
Schoolyard
Let's
bully.
not do this here. Let's not do this here.
I've already got comments of people being like,
Did I see that tweet? I felt so.
Ryan did not
so
learn how
bad.
to
Yeah,
share because I went and tried to take his game kid and he got all like,
I know.
no.
I'm still waiting. 1 to 3 days, dude. 1 to 3 days. Honestly, though, in future, if you're...
You haven't been the last couple
What's that with Amazon? Like, if you're trying to get... Your game is delayed, but you've got from October 29th to December the 1st. Like, what the hell kind of window is that? Well, what to do, honestly, I swear down, right? Simplygames.co.uk, honestly, they're amazing. Yeah, they're really good. You have to give them a chance. You get them like five days in advance. I got Spider-Man, like, really early. Really? I couldn't stream it. Oh yeah, in case of embargoes. Yeah, so they do a lot of games like that, and sometimes they have them cheaper to begin when the price goes up because they see they're selling, so it's one of them.
Sorry, Will, I meant to say hi, but I'm scarfing down a bagel sandwich, and so I was on mute. But yes, I see you.
If you go too high, the game was out yesterday, what the hell? But we'll find out. I mean, everybody wants to find out whether I'm going to shit on it or not.
Ooh,
no, you just absorb it even more.
Smart man, I should bust some donuts out.
Imagine Crocs, Mario 64,
Yeah, man.
Banjo-Kazooie,
Study on an empty stomach.
Crash Bandicoot.
That's right. Tried that once.
Disloyal.
Disloyal, yeah. STWU, as he would say.
We'll give it a go.
Alright, let's see.
Bring some beer into class.
Assorted donuts.
That seems inappropriate.
Yeah, I'm a bit odd, yeah.
That's the best kind of party when you're drinking in class.
My middle name.
I don't even know how to do these things.
Okay.
Grab your seats, please.
Good.
We're getting started. Grab seat class, please. Take seats in class.
We're starting.
Please, when you can.
Starting.
Can I throw stuff at Preacher?
Here it is.
No! I did.
Cool, man. Just want to say thank you for coming, everyone. Welcome to the PSVR Chat Show. Today we have got Ana Ribeiro from Pixel Rip. She's going to be the teacher for today's lesson.
Woo! Oh my god! What a crazy lesson is gonna be this, huh? Yeah!
Thank you for coming, Ana.
Thank you guys for doing all this. This is incredible. I'm mind blowing. I didn't expect all this hard work, and you guys created another Pixel Rip. It's a lot of work. I'm thankful. I'm really like impressed, and I feel like honored to be here.
Well, it's an amazing game.
Thank you so much.
It's well deserved to get its attention. You know,
It's phenomenal.
It's a great game.
So you're supposed to do a lesson here? Like, I know everyone has everyone with your Game Boys in the desk, please.
I love this.
Can't forget a donut for the teacher here.
Oh, you
I'll give you. Nice. I'll give you five stars. 5 stars.
Excellent stuff. So Ana, you're an 80s kid, I believe.
Oh, nice.
I'm telling on you.
You got paper aeroplanes, dude.
Nice catch, dude. That's crazy. Nice catch.
You know what's weird is that we're in Pixel Rift with the Pixel Rift character in real life.
That's crazy.
So Ana, you ready?
Yes. What are we gonna do? I'm ready. I'm ready.
It just snored you.
Alright, cool, man. So Ana, you're an 80s baby, yeah?
Sorry, I'm what?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're from the 80s, yeah? So for me personally, those years in terms of gaming were pretty unforgettable. So what was your first console you ever owned?
Oh my god, yeah. So probably no. Who knows what is the Odyssey? Did anyone heard about this console?
Odyssey is, yeah.
Odyssey, Jimith might.
The Odyssey.
I know that is. Yep.
Oh my
The
god.
Odyssey? Oh,
That was the first console. We had the Odyssey 2 actually, but the Odyssey 1 was the first video game home console. So our first console at home was the Odyssey 2, which is kind of like Atari era. And we also had a console that kind of the same time. I don't know which one came first, but we had this console called Telejogo in Brazil, which was like a Pong, one of those Pong consoles.
I had that as well. That was my first console.
Did it have the twirly knobs on it? So like you got the ping pong, the squares. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's basically just Pong.
That's the one.
There was a lot of Pong consoles on the world, so that was one of it. It was called Telejogo in Brazil. Yeah, I'm from the 80s, so that's like long time ago. I died in 83, I born, so.
Yeah. So what was your favourite console at that time? Because obviously when you play Pixel Ripped, there's a lot of retro games, obviously, that influenced it. So what was your favourite console?
So in Brazil, well, we have this console called Phantom System. It was like the best console. It just was released in Brazil, and you could basically play Nintendo games, but you use a Sega Genesis controllers, and that was awesome.
Brazil's sick.
So I grew up telling everyone, oh my god, my favorite console is Phantom System. I didn't have any doubt, like this is my favorite console, the best games. And then later when I grew up, I discovered actually I was playing Nintendo games, Sega games all together in one.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Wicked.
So all that conflict that everyone had, the Nintendo, what is best, Sega and Nintendo, we just had Phantom System like winners right there. So. But this is before Nintendo came to tribute, so this is before actually Nintendo wasn't there. So it wasn't like it wasn't illegal at the time for some reason. So this company actually.
Well, it might have been.
And this company released it. It was legit. You go in the stores and buy the console. It was a legit console. Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
Cool.
So what's your favourite video game?
That's so hard.
Mega Man. No, it's hard. I wasn't going to ask it. I've got to ask. Yeah, Pixel.
No. It's so lame.
Come on, Pixel.
If I answer that, this is so lame. It's my game. No.
What's your favourite game from the 80s then? Your favourite 80s game when you was younger?
The one that I feel the most nostalgic, I had the most nostalgic feeling when I play is Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
I know. I've been playing the other Mega Mans. I think Mega Man 10 may be the best one in gameplay, but I really love Mega Man 2 because it brings me those memories, and it was the first good Mega Man I remember. And it's. But if I'm talking about like my favorite right now, first-person shooter game. I love like multiplayer games online, so I love Left 4 Dead still.
Nice.
I love playing Left 4 Dead with my friends too nowadays.
Oh, what a great game!
On VR, I'm still playing a lot of Beat Saber.
We're waiting for Beat Saber. We're getting it soon.
This whole room's like.
But I have been playing a lot of old school games. Like I just bought a Nintendo Classic. I managed to find here in America last time. I was here. It was impossible.
Is that the NES Mini?
Yeah, the NES Classic. So I got that one. I got the Sega Genesis Classic too, and I have the Super Nintendo Classic too. So I have been playing. I just finished Super Mario World, and I have been playing.
Anna, I've just
Donkey Kong 2.
You call the Super Nintendo? Do you call it a SNES?
Do you call it Super Nintendo? Yeah. In Brazil, we call Super Nintendo. SNES.
Oh, God, Cannon!
I heard her say NES, and I was like,
I got excited!
It belongs to us.
At least it's Famicom.
Super Famicom, yeah, man.
Yeah, the Japanese one.
So cool. I'm going to take you back a little bit, Anna. So your sort of story into becoming a game developer is quite interesting. So before Pixel Ripped, you were working for the government and you were involved in divorces. And then after that, you decided to start your own business selling pies.
It was actually, I was, yeah, I actually was still working in the Justice Council when I started selling the pies. It wasn't like plan ahead. It was just, I think I was trying to escape because that was a lot of bureaucratic work. I was just basically in the desk typing documents, and you had these templates that you just fill in the gaps with the number of documents, the name of people, and it was so boring for me. Like I like creating things, so I would expend my time like changing the stickers on the box of the documents. That was when I used to have most fun doing it. It was horrible. The documents itself, you couldn't change the font, so it was Times New Roman at the time, and for me that was so frustrating. I can't change this, needs to be Times New Roman. So yeah, I worked there for 5 years. It was yeah, nothing. I felt like I was a fish outside the water there. Pretty much. I was listening to Mario music, and for people here, hey, where is my documents? I'm listening to Mario songs. People come to me, what are you doing here? I'm like, yeah, what? I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I just. But then I think you know in life sometimes you just follow like what is normal to everyone, and then one moment I'm so glad I realized that I was doing something that wasn't me, and so I got to that point when I was selling pies. So the pies, sorry, it's a long story. I'll try to keep it short, but I start to bring food to my. It's
cool.
We have time. I like to cooking, so I bring food to my friends at work, and I bring these pies. It's called empadas. It's a Brazilian. It's like a quiche, but it's close. I call pie, but it's not. It's actually called empadas. And they really like it, and they keep asking, bring it tomorrow, bring it again. So I had to, there was so many pies, I started selling pies there, and then the people in the corridor start to smell it. They're like, bring it for us too. And then the people in the next door, like, bring it to us too, we want it. And when I realized I was selling like 5,000 pies a month, it was like, it was going out, going crazy.
That is crazy.
And
that's some good
pies. I started like basically administrating. You the pies too? I want to pay.
What's a pie? 5,000 pies a month. That is insane.
There was a lot of pies. I had like in like 2 months I contracted like sellers, and I had people working with me making the pies, and I was administrating this. It's kind of a small business, and then people like.
What's up?
Hey.
Did it have a name? Did you just have a name?
So yeah, I was calling Empadas Quero Mais, which means I want more. You could never eat one pie, and you always want more pie. So I found this was the best name. And when I was, I did this course to prepare to open the business to like a restaurant, shop, a pie shop. And at this course, that's where I did the decision to make video games and leave everything behind.
Why?
Yes.
What happened?
So in this course, it was like a week short course for a startup, and they asked questions. It was crazy. It was like a kind of like a therapy. And then he's like, think about 5 years from now, where you want your business to be, 10 years, 15 years. I was like, yeah, I want Empadas Quero Mais to be in the whole world. And then he said something really, really important that changed my life. I actually did a TED talk about this question.
Oh, wow.
It was my TED talk I did now in Texas and San Antonio. So I just did this TED actually on the 15th. I hope I can share with you guys later. But he asked this question, and he said, okay, now imagine that you don't have anything. You don't have business. You don't have any work, any past. You don't have any courses you've done. Forget about your family, your friends. Forget about everything. Imagine that you're born now here today, and you don't have anything, nothing. Just born now. What would you like to be doing in 5 years, in 10 years? And then suddenly that question changed so much, because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be here.
That is an incredible story.
So that's Reality Check VR here. He just arrived. He's actually in the game. Yeah, I was trying to get him here.
Welcome. There he is.
What's up, dude? Welcome.
How you doing?
He's got a beer over there. It looks like he's got a beer.
Well, congratulations on your awesome game, guys.
How you doing, man? You good?
Welcome.
So yeah, and then I realized that, oh my God, I don't wanna be making pies for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And oh, Ricky's coming through. He just sent an invite. Nice. So that was really good because sometimes in life you need to just see things clear, and that was really important for me. And I realized, oh my God, I love playing video games, and I've been playing video games since I remember, kind of like. At home, I have 3 brothers, so I was really lucky as a woman to actually be able to play video games in the 80s. Because unfortunately, your parents didn't make games for girls. It wasn't the market. Like all the commercials were for boys. And Ricardo, so Ricardo is here. He's the CEO of Ivory, the publisher of Pixel Rip.
Hi guys. Oh, I love your outfit.
they did all that, so they did all this.
Oh, it's so cool.
Need to see all of it.
That's awesome.
So Ricardo, I'm doing like a lesson, and I'm the teacher
I'm
now.
sorry.
So
I'm gonna go sit down. I got in trouble.
Special
I have a lot of donuts.
How do I distract you?
This is the best.
I don't know.
The best students a teacher could have. Look at all the donuts I got.
We would have made you pies, but
and you got beer over there too.
Man, what's up?
You got a 6-pack there. Holy cow. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's a 6-pack.
Wow, that's so nice. Beer for everyone. And Game Boy for everyone. That's the best. That's cool.
I'm gonna have one.
Yeah, Shaggy wants a beer. Everyone wants a beer.
Shaggy.
Yeah, beer. I want beer. How do I get beer?
Good man. Oh no.
Oh my God, that's the best school ever, right?
Right.
We can now live these school days we never had when we were kids, right?
Right.
Have beer, play games.
What? You know
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, beer on your table.
Everyone drink a beer. Everyone drink a beer and play games.
Go home, play games. It's so good.
Wow.
And you got to take control though. You got to take control of it.
Give me.
The chaos starts.
Everyone, don't behave. Sorry.
I like this teacher.
Yeah, she's the best.
No.
Absolute
So
class teacher.
Anna, that must have been like to go from that business, to going to develop a video game. That must have been quite scary.
Yeah, actually, scary was continuing that place. That was like scary. Continue working in the Justice Council for me. It was a nightmare. I love trying and learning new things and trying new things. So for me, leaving that job was actually really easy. After it wasn't scary. Scary was staying there. Actually.
So financially, did you save money ready for this venture?
So when I had the pie business, I had some money. I saved it. I had some savings to actually build a restaurant after pies, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna move to making games. And I didn't have any knowledge at the time. I didn't have any. I didn't know how to make games. Just play it, right? So I had to start from zero. And I got this money. I sold my car, and I found a course I wanted to do in England. And I traveled to England. I did 1 year of games programming. It's called the SAE University. And then this course was basically you build your game engine in C++. It was really hardcore. And I'm glad that my first course was actually that way, because after when I learned Unity, I started learning Unity, I found it so easy and so good. And it's like when you learn how to drive a car, if you learn how to drive a hard one, you're going to really appreciate when you get a car that's more powerful.
One without power steering and one with power steering. So
yeah, Pixel Rip is my first game. It was actually the next course I did after this was the NFTS, which was 2 years, and that course was also in England. Was a master's degree, and then you have the last year just to do one game, and then when I did Pixel Rift, I don't know if you guys remember that. That was my student. Yep. That was my student project of that course. Like, this is 2014.
That student project. That's crazy. That's because that's a lot as well. Like, that was a lot.
And that was 3 years.
So it was always going to be virtual reality. You was always going to go virtual reality.
Oh,
that's the plan.
So why did you choose virtual reality? What was your first experience of virtual reality?
So actually, when I was studying at the NFTS, there was one other student. He was from the year before me, and he did a VR in the DK. This is DK one time, so he did this VR experience. It was called the Sandman, and you would be in a boat. It was really chill. That was the first time I tried VR. And then I asked him, where did you get this? And I got one, like, the next day. I got an Oculus. It's 2013. And then I just wanted to make VR, work with VR since that day. I tried a lot during the course, but then my course coordinator, it's a film school, so they're really traditional. So every project I'll go, I want to make in VR. No, there's no way to make storytelling in VR. And I'm like, come on.
Oh, wow.
But now they changed their minds. It's proven now that we can do storytelling really well with VR. But at the time, it was like crazy. How can you do a storytelling without controlling the cameras? Yeah, but Pixel Rift, I managed to convince him, and I did Pixel Rift in VR.
So what games were your main inspiration for Pixel Rift?
Okay, so I played did you guys ever play Gone Home? It's like a indie game. So I had played that at the time. It's kind of a little bit retro. Yay! It's kind of a little bit retro, and thank you for
official photographer. I love it.
Go Ricky.
That's awesome.
And what I was saying, my inspiration is there. So Mega Man, of course, is big
Mega
one.
Man, yeah.
My hand.
Sonic, Mario 2. There's a lot of Mario there. A lot of old school platform games. So I kind of Ghosts and Goblins. Like at the NFTS, I actually played again the whole game. We had the Mega Drive there, and I played with a friend. And we got some goblin beers, and we finished like in a weekend. Ghosts and Goblins.
That game is hard.
It's so hard.
I finished that game on Mega Drive. It was the best game ever.
Wow.
It's so hard.
Yeah, that game is something else.
Well done.
It took like a year or something to get
such a great game.
That good enough to use.
I got a question. Was there any Final Fantasy influenced for Pixel Rift? Because some of the characters, like the Master, kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy 1 a little bit. Some of the characters.
Oh yeah, good point.
That is a little bit, but actually in the next game we're gonna go for more Final Fantasy reference. This one we focus more on the platform games.
Next games.
And the crowd goes wild.
Let's drink.
She drank too much beer, guys. She drank too much beer. We can tell them, right?
Yeah, we can tell, but we're not gonna reveal. We can't. We're gonna do an announcement when actually can say which one's gonna be the next episode. But we can say that we have planned 4 episodes coming in.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. So who here got to the end of the game? Cool. Who here got to the very end of the game?
Heck yeah.
So,
of course,
I did.
Do you remember you can choose the year that Dot goes next?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What did everyone pick?
I think I chose 1995.
What did you guys pick?
I picked the newest looking one.
I think.
It looked like Super Metroid looking Dot.
Yeah. N64 type deal. Yeah. I went like the.
Yes.
I went 90s.
So what did that do? Did that do anything?
Sorry, Ricky, you were saying. Sorry.
No, it's just we can tell what you guys picked. So
really?
not individually, but we have stats of what's the biggest.
Wow.
What's the most
That's
chosen
brilliant.
one? Yeah.
That is brilliant.
What is the most chosen one?
Stats.
Secret.
It is secret.
That will be the next game. So.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
We found it would be cool to have you guys decide in the next game, and we wanted to put in the game like analytics so we can actually see the decisions, and it makes part of the story, because if you see Master is saying, I don't know where Cyberlink Lord went, and I need help, and you guys decide where he was, where you think he went, which era, right? But we have these 4 episodes that we're gonna definitely do. We can say that, and then we're gonna be referencing more of these other games. Of course, Pixel Rift's gonna be the same plot. You're always looking for Dot to help Dot get the stone, fight against Silent Lord, but the game will change and you'll be in different eras of video games, and then also the 3D world that you are. So in this one you're in a classroom in England, then and controlling Nicola, but the next ones you'll be in a different places, different years, and different characters that Dot goes in a quest to control these players' bodies. And so imagine 1987, 1978 to be in Atari era, and the 70s, and so it's gonna change.
Awesome. I have a follow-up question for that. Will Dot get a partner? Like a co-op partner?
So yeah, we discussed about having new characters coming, appearing, and like having options. They maybe have like special powers from other characters, but there's nothing decided yet. But we definitely want to do stuff like that. Different characters that will appear. Like this one, we had Arturo. That's kind of a Super Ghost and Ghost one.
Yeah.
But we won't have these other characters, like we had the chicken, we have those other things happening, but it would be cool if you could control those characters, right? But it's not decided yet.
I can't
There's so many ideas for that game.
So Pixel Rip was a Kickstarter, was it? Did you set up a Kickstarter for that, first of all? And how much of the game have you made before you met Avery here?
Ricardo, yeah. So actually the Kickstarter, this is a long time ago, and Kickstarter failed, but we got the investment from accelerator in Silicon Valley called Boost VC. They invest in VR companies and startups, and this is 2015. So it was, I got this early stage, I got some investment from Oculus, I got this Kickstarter that failed, and I got this accelerator that invested. And then for 2016, I was self-funding the project. So it's kind of money was gone, and I was self-funding the project. I had, we have freelancers around the world, the team and people, friends that have been helping me out when they had time. It was really hard to finish a big project without.
How much of the game was made at that point?
Kind of. When we met, we kind of had like probably. It feels like half of the game was done because the polish takes so long, right? The polish and the final stage of it was really long. So when I met Ricardo, actually, this was 2000. We met in first VR event.
2016. Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. And Ricardo had played the game in Oculus, so he knew the game. But we never had met, and we met in this event, and then we keep in touch. And then Ricardo, in 2000 last year, it's not a long time ago, announced that we're opening Avery. It's this amazing. It's like the focus in VR, immersive experience. You want to talk about that? Then we can talk a little bit about Avery.
Yeah, sure. We decided to start this VR studio here in Brazil, which is a crazy adventure doing that here, but we did it anyways, and we built a team, and we were doing some cool like VR experiences, and then I had already met Ana. She got in touch, and we started talking again, and at that time she was living in the US, but she wanted to come back to Brazil, and we started talking, and we had a team. She needed to finish her project. Like you asked where the project was, like the whole thing was there, but like there's so much polishing and so much like it wasn't still like ready to it wasn't ready to become a published game.
You'd seen the game. You'd obviously seen the game and thought this is going to be big.
Like from the very first version, like from her student project, I really loved it, right? But when she published that student project on Oculus Share back in the day, like I had a DK2 and everything, and that in those times, like the things that were on Oculus Share weren't actually games, right? They're just a bunch of like weird tech demos. And then suddenly this thing was an actual game proposition, so it was really interesting. Awesome. But then when I played the game in 2016, it was only like the first level, right, that I had tried, and it was already super creative and super like interesting and everything. But yeah, when I saw the other, that it had like other levels, and each level was almost a new game in terms of like what it brought to the table, right? Oh, yeah, it was so creative and so cool. Yeah, so we immediately said, yeah, let's do it together. Let's finish it. We have a team. Like we have the investment. We have the team. We can do the marketing. So that's how it went, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the final push that I needed to finish this game, and has been great. Actually, we're actually gonna make the next games together. Avery is willing to invest, and we're gonna do it together. It's really exciting. Like it has been working really well. We kind of having the same love for VR, and it's
that's good.
actually Ricardo, it's like a multitask CEO. He actually did the voice in the trailer. Do you wanna do a little bit of the voice?
Oh God, why did you do that? Why did you do that to me? I'm shy. Now I can drink because I'm laughing. Let me drink a little beer before. Here's the story. Okay, so I edited the trailer, right? And because the trailer was really cool, because like some friends from Ana's like university had shot that little kid. Have you guys seen the trailer with the little kid? Yeah. So some friends from her university had shot that scene with the little kid, but there was no trailer, right? There wasn't edited. It wasn't anything. So I edited it together, and I wrote some just some copy for what would be like the trailer. Like we wanted to make it cheesy, like a 1980s trailer, and then I recorded like placeholder voiceover, because I said like, let me record my voice just to edit it, and then we'll find a suitable like voice actor or whatever like to do it. And then she wouldn't let me get rid of that voice.
That's so good. Like
and then originally, originally, I was doing the voice of the mom that appears in the beginning of the trailer as well. So, like, so originally I did the mom, and it was like, outside, blah blah, and that was horrible. So I said, okay, I'll keep my voice for the whole trailer except for the mom. So who did the mom was actually the same guy who does the teacher, who was Gareth, right? Yeah.
He actually said we actually spoke to him about doing the voice for the trailer, and he's like, this voice actor you guys have is really good. You shouldn't take him out.
So it goes like, go outside the world and play now in an incredible new virtual world. I don't know. I said it. I'm gonna do it as a side gig now, right?
There you go.
Good side gig.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the trailers. That was so funny.
But yeah, it came out really cool. We did it in like this cheesy 1980s video game commercial style, and we want to do the next games the same thing, right?
That's awesome.
That trailer is one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah,
thanks.
That's good.
It's a really challenging game to it's a really challenging game to explain, right? Even if you ask me what is Pixel right now, like it's very hard to put it in one sentence. Like it's a very hard game to explain. Yeah. So the trailer was really challenging to do in a way that people even understand what the game was. So we just went for like, let's make it crazy and people will love it. And
there is a lot of people from the community in the game. We want to make this game like part of our. Really good. Actually, so I have a Reality Check VR is actually in the game. He did this tips and trips. There's like a video that plays on the television. So if you shoot the TV, on level 3, you can actually see him. You can see PSVR Frank. And we're now doing even a competition that anyone from the community can send a video, and the best video actually is still going on now. And if you guys want to send it, the video is going to be on that television, the best one. And we have like a DJ Catman, which is like a YouTuber. He's like a DJ that does remix from old school games, and I used to just listen to his music, and I contact the guy, can we put you in the game? So his voice is on the radio. We have all these people that we like to participate, and
that is awesome.
The music was really good.
Thanks. The
music's insane. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really.
The music was composed. The music was composed by Terrence Dunn. Is actually I met him at the NFTS still at the university, and he's still working and gonna be working with us in the next games. And it's
really clever.
There's a lot of love put in this project. It's been a long time. It's been 4 years, so. Long time.
So today you made an announcement that Pixel Rip 1989 is going to launch in the EU, Australia, and New Zealand.
Yeah,
Yes.
finally! Oh my god.
For PlayStation,
Awesome.
yes.
Yes.
I mean, it was already there for Oculus and Steam, but not for PlayStation, so now it's coming out for PlayStation on all those territories. And
Thank you
so
very
really
much.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Great.
You guys
That
go
was
into
great.
detail about why it took so long? I know that a lot of our European viewers have been, you know, a little bit concerned about the delay getting there, but it seems to be something that a lot of developers have to deal with. Did you have to go through a lot of hoops? Is there something with the PEGI rating? Is it expensive? Like, what's the deal?
We had to do a separate QA process. So we released it on Sony is like separate. It's not like when you do an Oculus release or Steam release is all worldwide. But we did like a QA for just releasing on Americas, and then for Europe is a separate QA process, and it took 2 months. Unfortunately, like we tried what we could, but. We're a small team, and it's like it's a really bureaucratic process. And every time you do change, you book a slot. It takes like 2 weeks.
It's very it's very challenging for a small team to even launch on PlayStation. There's a lot of the QA process is very, very involved, right? Especially for VR, it's extra stuff, right, for VR. And we had
to the Q&A process comes up every time. Every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they do that because eventually you'll get better games and everything, right? But it's very challenging for a small team. We made the decision early on that we would launch on all VR platforms at the same time. So we launched on PlayStation, on Steam, on Oculus, on everything at the same time. And then when we noticed that the European process was an even separate one from that, there was no way we could do that as well at the same time. So we did that. We started doing that as soon as we could, but it still took a couple months to be able to finish
imagine
it, right?
like we had the game ready like 3 months before we launched it. It could be released on Oculus and Steam, and we delayed 3 months just for Sony, and it was just Americas. And imagine if it was a global Sony release, we would be delaying for 5 months the game, and it's really sad. The only thing we could do, it was up on our hands that we could actually do was this competition. So we built a special competition just for Europe.
Nice.
Because all these contests we did before, they couldn't participate, and I know it's frustrating for them. So we did this contest. The player that gets the most pixels on level 1 and then shares with us is gonna be actually cover of a magazine.
Nice.
And this is gonna be just Europe because we actually put inside the game the contest. So when you go in the classroom, there's the flyer of the contest in Nicola's desk, as the competition was actually going on inside her world. So it's quite cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so it took a long time. It's sad. We did the best we could, but we was the one the most right to release this game. And people were like, "Oh, why it took so long?" We wanted you to release it. They
guys get a discount.
It's done now. It's fine.
Hands are tied.
Yeah, it's gonna be out on the 16 now. We're actually gonna be in the VR Awards. It's like it's going on now in England. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
we are competing.
Game
of the year.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I will be there with my
I think somebody has a question over there.
Ooh, I didn't know if this is how we were doing it or not.
He's raising his hand.
Good, Dave.
Awesome.
So you were saying the separate QA process. Like, it sounds like maybe the game was pretty much already done at that point when you had to reintroduce the QA. Did you find stuff that you ended up reintroducing back into the base game from that QA? Like, how different was the process?
Actually, it's kind of like we send the game is released in America, we say, here, the game is good, right? It's working. But then when you get to QA there, if the person that gets your game and it thinks there's something you have to improve it doesn't, it's like another QA process. So we had things like FPS.
I'm wondering, like, was it just frustrating, or did they give you any good ideas that you ended up using? You know, when
it's not the QA is not qualitative. It's not really qualitative QA. They don't say, change. This is a bad gameplay section. They don't do that. It's more like your frame rate here is going below X. It's more of a performance thing than it's to fit all the like necessities of the device and everything. It's not. They don't say like, oh, you change this level because it's this this jump over here is too hard. They don't do that, right?
I gotta say something because I was there watching them painfully watch you guys ask for the game, and they were like trying to get it to you guys, and they were desperate. And I was in Brazil, and it was so sad seeing them, want the game to get to everybody. But here's what happened. It's Sony. Sony is the one that did it, and this is what happens exactly. They said, here's their awesome game. Dave, you play it. What's wrong with it? And then Dave says, this is what's wrong, and we fix it. And they're like, cool. And the next time they're like, Gamertag, you play it. What's wrong with the game? And then every time they're like, and then now you play it. They never give it back to Dave. They just keep changing it around. So it's opinion-based. And these guys tried so hard. It was so hard to watch it and see. Okay, anyways, they
wow.
Yeah,
they have a very specific process on that. Like one person's given something, they just have to go, yeah, as a focus. Sony has like a kind of thing, you get one job handed to you, and you just do that. And you don't.
It's like in big corporations, you have like siloed things, so like one division doesn't talk to the other. You know how it is, right? So it's just a big process, and it's hard to like. So and for us now, it's the issue is like we have two separate branches of the game, so like we have to go through QA for updates separately. We have to go through. So it's like very complicated because we did a day one patch on. We did a day one patch on the on the Americas version, and then we said, can we already send you the version with the patch? No, we had to do like the whole QA process for both the patch and the game again. So it's a little bit complicated, but I mean, it worked out. It worked out in the end.
If you compare, so imagine when you had that change bug. So remember that bug you found? Someone found the bug. Hey, is it gonna be fixed? On Oculus, we can go there, do the change, and then update it, and get it the same day, like again in the store. Just do an update. It's in the store. Steam is quick too, but then Sony is gonna take a few more weeks because we have to book a slot. We have to do then you have to wait for passing and everything. It's cool. It is a bureaucratic. It's a big corporate company, and like for example. Sorry?
No, go. Sorry.
So, for example, one of the bugs we had the last time now in Europe was like the FPS was falling. If you watch, the main menu in the classroom, if you watch the whole television trailers at the end, the logo explodes. At that moment, the FPS will fall for a few seconds. But like, would you rather have game now or wait for 2 months? It's like, it's one of this is the thing, like. And then you fix that, you send it, but then they may come with other problems they didn't say before, and then you send it again.
There's a game recently come out called Trickster. And basically the multiplayer was cut. And when I spoke to the developer, he said it's because every 2 minutes it dropped 2 frames. So you had to cut 8 months.
But why can't you just take a creature out or something to make up for that?
Yeah.
That's not to say it won't come in the future, but
I imagine.
I'm just
saying.
But
that's pretty harsh.
It's difficult, especially for VR. They're really. You can't lose frames, right? It's very, very strict, and like even our loading screens, we had a frame dip in it was all white, and they would still like, there's a frame drop here in the fully white loading screen, right? But then that one they eventually waived.
How does Winkin get through this process? How does Winkin get through this process?
Crazy.
Wow. So
do you guys
actually,
feel
this
like
is
overall. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I was just going to say, do you feel like their stringent process, like it has to be exactly perfect? Do you think in the long run that's going to help them or hurt them, like in the VR market? Because if everything is much more of a hassle for developers, but PC VR gets to be a lot easier, it's like, does Sony keep that market share if everything runs as well?
Quality over quantity they make as well, or how much.
I mean, they are the biggest platform right now, and I think the extra
in the future, I guess.
The extra care helps with the curation, so like I'm sure eventually what gets to their platform is something that went through this whole process. So you at least you have a quality guarantee of quality and everything. I mean, there are benefits to it, but it is not friendly for like a very small developer, for sure. It's not, but I mean, eventually you'll get through the process and it'll make it work. So I think there are pros and cons, but. There's pros and cons to both ways to do it, you know.
I'm sure the next time we do it, it's gonna be easier.
Yeah, there was a learning curve from us as well, like in terms of. Yeah. We learned the whole it's very, very, very involved. So we learned the whole process as we did it. So there was a learning curve too. I'm sure the next time is gonna be much better. So
I've got some viewer questions for you both. And if you want to ask any questions, anyone, all you got to on the announcement videos, use the hashtag questions. First one is from Met Club. Are there any updates planned for Pixel Ripped 1989?
So we have a Halloween special planned. Actually working on this right now.
What? Halloween special. God, Shannon loves a bit of Halloween.
That's so good. I've just got my card in time to play it as well. Yay.
Nice. So yeah, actually I'm working on this right now. We are right now working on it. Actually on Unity still open on my computer. But it's gonna be just a Easter egg. It's a Easter egg free little level that you guys can play, and it's just a funny joke with the classroom. There's all like that's kind fun. Of a nightmare of Nicole. But yeah, it's coming on Halloween, and we're gonna be on discount on Halloween for Oculus, and when it comes, we're gonna be posting when we have more details. But yeah, that's the only thing I can say for now.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's gonna be entirely free content that we're just giving people because we love them.
Super.
And,
Very nice. And I believe
nice.
Thank you. When Pixel Ripped launches in the EU, it will have a pre-order discount, I believe. Is that going to come up a few days before, or is it, you know?
Yeah, it will be 20% discount for 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, not pre-order. Like we did pre-order on the. Since we weren't able to do pre-order on EU, we're just gonna have 2 weeks after launch. It's gonna be a 20% discount. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, no.
So the next question from Geox is: do you have next VR project?
Pixel Ripped, and that is so Arvory. So we have the next Pixel Rips coming, 4 episodes planned, but Arvory also has a bunch of. We have a bunch of other projects working there. Do you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, I can't talk about specifically about all the any of them right now, but yeah, we got the sequel of Pixel Ripped, which we're starting as soon as this whole. As soon as we finish this whole part of Anna's Anna's in the US right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in now in Santa Clara.
Yeah. So as soon as we already started the project in terms of the initial creation of the of the concepts and everything, but
storyboard, artwork,
yeah. But we're gonna actually start for real like once she comes back. And then and this one won't take 4 years. This is something, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. No.
This was for the PSVR 3, right?
No. This one. So you're saying you've got some things for PSVR 3 there already?
Yeah.
No, but this one won't take 4 years. No. This one won't take 4 years, and but we also at Arvory we have some cool projects in the pipeline. We'll be able to talk more about them soon, but we have a bunch of cool things in the works. Yeah.
So Piffy Yummies, he wants to know if Pixel Ripped is coming out in Australia, which it is.
Yay!
Our models, the game is now. Yeah, just announced today. Yeah, the game is also being released in the EU from ARM models. Polish Paul. Will there be different time periods added to your game? The Pixel Rip, which is the 4 chapters you were talking about.
The 4 chapters at the end. These are the 4 next episodes that we're gonna be doing. And so you're gonna have Atari era in the 70s. We're gonna be having like arcades, and we're gonna have like Nintendo and the fight against Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, the era that was great, and 1999. The first 3D games in 1999. So we're gonna, of course, reference different games and different eras, but Pixel Rip is still gonna be the same. It's still gonna be Dot. Fighting to get the Pixel Stone and Cyber Lord, but we're gonna be referencing all these different eras and years of video games.
Fingers crossed for Dreamcast. I see a Dreamcast out there.
The next question is from our Danish. Where's Danish? Do you remember your question, Dave?
No.
Right, your question was...
My answer is yes.
Yeah. Why did you choose the specific handheld? I think it's the Game Kid isn't it? In your, you know, what that's.
Yeah.
Is it,
Gear
what is it? The
Kid.
Gear Kid? The Gear.
The Gear Kid.
Get with the program.
What is it? I throw it. So that era, 1989, it was the year of the Game Boy. So we want to reference that. Yeah, here you go. But also we want to have a console that had its own identity, and it's kind of a mix with the Game Boy, the Game Gear. But
the Game Gear was a
But if that console existed at the time, it would be a winner. Just like the graphics are really good.
The game is too good. The game is too good for an 8-bit game, right? Like those games, but still. And definitely I don't remember like them becoming 3-dimensional on my school table, but.
Yeah, cool. And the last question is from Jason the Livonator, the producer of the show. What was your inspiration in making the game? Was it childhood memories or just a loving gaming?
Wow, it was a mix of both. I started with this dream I had. I was really struggling to decide what was going to be my final project, and I couldn't come with ideas. I was going to work on this carnival game, Brazilian carnival game, and my course coordinator was like pushing me, no, you should write it at least 5 different ideas. And then I had this dream that I was playing a game, and it was quite crazy. Like I was playing a game on the TV, and every time the game involved in graphics, the whole living room was like changing, pixelating, and then there was until the graphics were like realistic and everything was merged together. So I woke up and I was telling everyone about this dream, and everyone, all my colleagues were like, my colleagues were like, this is a great idea. And I was like, yeah, I want to make a game about the history of video games and that feeling of playing a game and following that game changing. You know, when you remember when you're a kid and you play like, I want to see how Mario's going to look now. I want to see how, you know, these characters that the old games that you kind of follow and you see them evolving and change. So it started from that. And then, of course, I had things that made me change a lot. Like we had a lot of bugs that changed the game, like the boss battle moment when the characters are all out of the console. This was actually a bug. I wasn't planning to be in the game. The 2D character, I forgot to tell the camera, don't draw that character outside the TV. And I was playing the game on the TV, and the dots stopped jumping around like this 2D sprites, huge, and that really changed the game. It was a whole process of development, but
so Pixel Ripped come from a dream. That is amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Dream come true. Dream come true.
Literally dream come true. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Did you have any feedback on the final boss? A lot of people have complained about how difficult it is, and that took just as long to beat the final boss as the entire game.
We actually did some
feedback then.
We actually did some improvement on like we made it a little bit, we polished a little bit, balanced the gameplay there. It was a little bit, a big pick, like, of difficulty in the end. Like, ideally, next game, we actually spoke about making you can choose a normal, easy or hardcore mode, and then we're gonna have, like, levels of the whole game's gonna be hard or easy, you know.
That's not a bad idea, but you've got to reward the people who get through that. Because that last level, man, I wanted to give up. I'll be honest with you.
That's because
you've not done it.
You guys
You remember back in the day, like, games were hard back in the day, right? This is something.
Check the Twitter account.
This is something. It's something funny because while we do get a lot of feedback about it, some people actually like that it's super hard. But I think there's a balance in the middle. You know. Also, we realized some people didn't notice that you could like use the spitball to destroy the fire circles in the last boss. You know. And then I don't know even how.
Just for reference, I haven't actually finished it because. I haven't got the I haven't got the power on my graphics card because I'm on PC side, not on the PSVR side. So I wanted to stream the whole game, but I couldn't because I was getting frame rate issues while I was streaming. So I haven't finished it yet. So I've got a new graphics card and we'll be finishing this off.
Maybe that's Sony's problem, dude. maybe they're using your PC to Q&A the games. And that's what's going on.
That's split. You're not supposed to say about this. It's supposed to be a secret, dude. It's supposed to be a secret.
So about the difficulty, you guys think is a good idea. Have the next game we choose like hard, easy, and normal.
Yeah, make it slider.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It won't be hard, easy, normal. It will be easy, normal, and old school, right?
There you go.
Hardcore. You should do it in years. You should go 80s, 90s.
Yeah. Good idea.
The harder it is.
2010.
I have been playing a lot of
Battletoads.
I was playing a lot of. I was telling like Donkey Kong and all this. I've been playing with the Nintendo, Super Nintendo Classic a lot, and I like it. You can spend like days in one level and dying and coming back in again. I don't remember any game nowadays that I actually have that
Donkey
feeling
Kong Frozen level.
I will say the Donkey Kong still keeps it really, really hard.
Tropical freeze,
Donkey
That's the
Kong
thing.
is still really difficult.
As much as that last level was really hard, you got that feeling of accomplishment at the end of it.
And it's the end of the game, right? It's the final boss. I really like boss battles, and I made it. I'm really excited about this boss battle, and I think we maybe got too excited, and when we realized that the boss battle was like rounds inside rounds, and the last round had like 3 rounds, and I think it was also because I didn't want to finish the game. Maybe I was just trying to make the game longer. But it became this huge boss battle. Boss battles should be epic, right?
Yeah.
And should be long with. Of course.
It was epic.
Hell yeah.
It was
I think we should
4
give
transitions of one boss.
I think we should give options for everyone.
Chuck! Where is he?
Go for Chuck.
Chuck.
Well, just to jump in on there, Dark Souls. Dark Souls would be the exception to that rule for modern gaming. Being hard, having boss fights and all that stuff. But anyways,
Super Meat Boy too.
There you go.
Super Meat Boy.
Cuphead.
Anna, Ricky, my question for you is, this is for me actually, from the developer's perspective, and you talked about 5-year goals, 5-year plans, where do you see VR in the next 5 years and say 10 years?
Perfect.
Wow.
You want to take that?
In 5 years, in 10 years, in 15. Do you want to talk to?
We can do 5. We can just do 5.
I see, especially now with the Quest, I got really excited about it because it's still nowadays, like we have so many set up to play a game. Like yesterday we tried to play a game, Reality Check VR, and oh my god, I was like, why? I just want to put a headset and play it, and there's always these steps that something goes wrong and all this stuff. And I believe in 5 years at least we will have like actually be able to get like with the Quest is going to be opening a big market. So the market is stabilizing now, it's getting there, but I think in 5 years we will be having like maybe an Apple will announce something to there, I hope. Probably like the next few years, less than 5 years, but I hope in the 5 years probably VR is going to be at least something more common to people. Like nowadays it's still walking, people don't know what it is. Mainstream, easy to pick it up and just put it in your head, you know?
Yeah. Like obviously we are fully committed to it, right? We have a company that does VR exclusively, so and we got investments and like we believe in it. But I love a phrase that I heard from I was at Oculus Connect last week. And Michael Abrash, the scientist at Oculus, he I don't know if you guys watched the keynote, but he showed a sentence by Steve Jobs at the end of his presentation. Yeah, and basically he said when Steve Jobs saw the first, like at Xerox PARC, like the first computer that they had developed, that they didn't know what to do with it, with like a mouse and a graphical interface, like basically everything that we use for like so many years after. And Steve Jobs said you could argue like when it was going to happen and who would make it, but you couldn't argue it was inevitable, you know, like, and that's what I feel about VR. Like it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe so that's what I feel. I feel like it's closer than that, and I feel like all these hurdles are already being overcome, so I feel like it's closer than we even think. Technology moves very fast, right? And it's growing, so I mean, look at this, guys. We're in a virtual classroom talking, and I'm in Brazil. She's in California. Like what the hell?
We're in a virtuality talk show talking about virtuality.
I don't believe in virtual reality. That wouldn't work, right? If I said that now.
I've got a lot of people asking about the Oculus Quest. How do you feel about the Oculus Quest?
Wow, we played the arena there and Dead and Buried. That was really impressive. I was really impressed with the tracking. I forgot about I was in VR. I actually felt like I was playing like a paintball. I was actually putting my hands in the box, like you had all those big boxes that they had there. And they didn't have any sensors. They said they didn't do any previous setup there. Just this white, and it was incredible.
I think it's a game.
The best moment was when you have your team in the other side and you have so you can still see the world now. That's a big game change for me. Like you can see the outside world all the time. So imagine like you're drinking a beer and in VR, like it happens with me many times. I'm drinking a beer and I throw the beer on the computer and I burn myself with tea. And this is not gonna happen anymore because now you have the camera, and you can now press a hold A and you can actually access that camera, and you can see everyone outside, and then it's kind of like a take on me effect, like black and white, really weird, but really useful. That was
it was so cool, like because it has a
push the technology.
Yeah, and it has like it has sound, but like the headphone is open, like kind of like the Oculus Go, right? And for the arena game, that was really useful because I was on Anna's team, and I would like go up to next to her and say, "Oh, let's go over there," blah blah, and we could hear each other and see each other's avatars.
High five.
Yeah. And real high fives,
So cool.
But I think it's a complete game changer, man. I mean, sure, it's not the same graphics as an Oculus Rift or anything, but the tracking is incredible. I couldn't even tell like the blind spot for the controllers. It was incredible.
It's good to the point playing, is everyone's gonna play catch up. It's gonna push things forward for every
Yeah. And I thought they got such a good price as well, $399 for the whole thing.
That's killer.
We actually want to say that we want to be a launch title for Quest. We're actually now talking to Oculus about it, and because of all the optimization we've done for Sony, at least this is gonna be good because all this optimization we would have to do anyway for the Quest, and we kind of halfway through. So this is gonna help us out to be a launch title in the Quest. We are trying to right now to see that happening. So. Exciting.
That's
awesome. Just because I did from the PC side, you have that other mode in there, so you press F10, so it's like a streamer's mode. How long did that take? I mean, that was a different approach because every time you lifted the console up, you had different presentation layers going on. The other one was, did you look at something like Live as well for streamers so that you could have another camera in Pixel Ripped, so we could actually have the streamer in the middle and the extra overlay?
Yeah, we're actually really friends with the people at Live, and we actually talked about this. We just didn't have time to implement it yet, but it's something that we might do, like do the mixed reality thing. Yeah, but. OVR
that camera we had
talked about this.
We have to do he's been asking this one. We actually, that camera we had in that F10 and F11 that make you a better field of view. We did that for the trailer because we need to record the trailer, and then when we recorded, the images were like too close and you couldn't see the Game Boy. So Zed, we have this wizard. He's like a Carmack guy. He works in Harvard with us, and he built this. He programmed this camera, and then with an 80, and then was asking like, could you have like a better field of view? Because, and then some streamers like found really useful. We sent to them this. Let's just use what we done. Like we done for the trailer, but it's really useful to record any videos. So we just share with the community.
Same for me. Yeah. I had to. I read that and was sort of like, oh yeah, okay, we do the F10, and I didn't realise actually that also it's really weird. You guys, only the PSVR side didn't have the same thing, but whenever you pulled your game, well, I keep on calling it Game Boy, but whenever you pulled the game up, there was a screen in the separate side that would actually display as well. So whenever you put the game out of view and you can't see it, your audience can't see it, and that was like really, really awesome. I love that.
Yeah, this is because we have in the game we already programmed that we know when the player is looking to the Game Boy or not, so we just use that to check, and then we activate this camera straight from the game camera because we have camera in the game, in the other game. So the other game has a camera, and we just
the interesting and the interesting thing is the picture-in-picture idea, like this little picture-in-picture. It came when we were discussing having a mixed reality, and we like show the person from the outside how the viewer is gonna see like the game, right? And because the game is in the game, but we still didn't implement the mixed reality, but the picture-in-picture is there. But mixed reality would look very strange because I don't know if any of you guys like, I don't know if any of you guys like walked around. Yeah, it would look awesome, but because the scale is different. So because you're a little 9-year-old girl, right? So like the gear kit in your hand would look like a huge thing, right, in your head. Yeah, but we still want to try it. And the other funny thing is we'd have enable the avatar of the little girl's body. I don't know how many of you like guys led to some funny streamer moments. Like there are a bunch of streams where the streamers like go and he like looks around and goes ah! and starts screaming because it's a headless child. You know?
Actually.
I think we look brilliant, right? Maybe it would be so weird. That would be funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, reality check VR is like, let's do it.
Yeah, man. Right, awesome. Anna, I've got to thank you ever so much for coming on the PSVR Chat Show. We're going to have to give it a wrap there, but thank you very much for coming on, and thank you, Rick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. I believe you've got a giveaway going on Twitter. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Don't forget to upload the picture.
Oh, there's pizza? Wow.
We'll get the picture.
I never seen pizza here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Good looking Za.
Pizza, donuts, Game Boy.
And before anybody leaves, we need to get the photo of everybody. So don't leave without a photo.
And if you go into there,
Ricky, hold on. I gotta
and you can be in a chance to win an EU or an NA code of Pixel.
I'm not.
So if anyone wants to know what it is, I'll chuck it in.
I'm not
Thank you ever so much for
Yeah, so
watching.
it's a different.
And I hope to see you on the next PSVR Chat Show. Take care, everyone.
Are we friends already?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Picture with everybody.
We're friends.
Nice to meet you.
I have to say you've been nominated.
There we go. That's it. That one.
Thank you very much for coming on.
I'm going to be sending you guys an email about that very shortly.
Thanks, bro. There we go. Nice to meet you. I don't know.
All these hands.
Are we friends? Yeah, nice to meet you. We're friends already. Are we friends, right? No.
Hang on.
No, my hand. There we go.
Nice to meet you.
There we go.
You're not supposed to do the opposite hands.
Alright, yeah.
It's been great.
Cool, man. Cool.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for that. Oh, no,
Thank you. It's
I'm
great
trying
to be
to charge
here
on
with
this.
you
We
guys.
can take a picture, man.
Sorry,
We're all going to take a picture together.
Sorry.
Callum, did I ring you earlier?
Sorry, again.
How you doing?
I can only control so much. It goes nuts in here.
Selfie? Want a selfie?
Nice to see you. Let's do a selfie.
Let's take a big.
There we go.
Let's do the group one.
And of course I'm smiling in real life.
Alright, I shared that with record.
Maybe do the picture there, actually. That's pretty good.
I want to take a picture of every.
It won't let me. My gun's broken.
Guys, we're gonna do a group photo. So line up for a group photo.
It doesn't.
Yeah, group picture.
Group photo over here, everybody.
Let's do a group picture. Let's do a group picture, guys.
I'm gonna try to get it up here in the corner.
This is the camera right over there. We're gonna use.
We're doing it.
Bunch up right here in this
He's
group.
doing it. He's doing it.
Right here in this.
Group picture.
Group picture.
I'll kneel in the back.
on top of the table.
Wait.
There's so many people.
If anyone wants to know,
I'm trying to see how we can fit everybody in.
Everybody's the awkward Jason,
you can't see the
Jimith,
picture.
and Seraphim built this
Let's
world.
see, the guys
so
on the
that's pretty
comes in the
incredible.
door, kind of scoot in a little closer to us here.
If you're on the
What's going on? We're just trying to get a group picture with it.
Where's the camera?
It's right there. It's right there.
I'm like, is Jimith the last person? You ready, guys? Everybody look towards the camera. 1, 2,
Jimith coming through.
3.
Cheers.
Yeah, can you
Upload
post it
it.
on my Instagram?
Forget the stand.
or-
Everybody have it. You guys will all have it.
We're only missing Shughead, by the way. We did good this time. Shughead's the only one that left.
Thank you so much for doing this.
What's so good? That's so good.
This is making me order pizza as soon as I leave.
I know, I'm so hungry now.
Wait.
Wait. Yeah.
Thin crust Papa John's.
Honestly, the guys that really helped us out the most.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you came, and I'm glad you really enjoyed it. It's good, isn't it? Like, when you talk to the developers, it's great fun.
It's amazing that they
master builders with them.
Yes.
They do awesome work.
This is amazing.
I don't have guarantees, but what I've heard from the grapevine is that there's going to be a
like
mode
nowadays
where
it's
there's like
so
a kid and maybe
so
another
easy to
kid,
just
and
go
you're
for
both
and
playing
try
like
it
a Street
out.
Fighter type.
Download the Unity and
It's all janky.
That'd be awesome. But I'm not sure if it's going to take place in a house or an arcade.
It's perfect. I love it.
Happy?
I have no idea.
Thank you so much.
But yes.
No.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they allowed like a multiplayer too. So
Like a what?
what are these? Like any kind of multiplayer would be kind of fun.
Last night, and it
Are
was
these
in
trays?
when I did my Pixel Rip first impression.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking magazines. How many times did I say Mega Man? And in the first
They float.
and the winner gets $20. Yeah, they counted out 25.
Wow, nice.
I had a question.
It makes me feel magical.
I'm gonna bring him through.
Oh yeah, David Blaine.
If only I could step onto it
on
then.
top of the beginning.
Yeah, Mega Man, yeah.
I knew I was going to...
Oh, you can? Yes!
You
can turn it into stairs.
Thank you.
Why did you already?
One question, man.
Oh, no, it's cool, man.
I thought it was.
The one inside Dot or the one inside?
And just hit yes when that comes up on your messages there, and then you'll be right there.
In the beginning,
Yeah, like the main menu. There's a little like...
Alright guys, now we're all going to go play Wreck Royale, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We should at least.
Royale.
No, it's not. That in the posters there, or the guy that comes.
It's like, he's like right to the left of the TV. He's like, he looks like...
What's down there?
It's so good.
All right.
Well, here we go already.
Let's go for the ride.
Oh my god. I didn't even know you could do this in Rec Room. Wow.
Oh, I think we had too many people. We busted it. That's supposed to come out and shoot.
This is amazing.
Too many people. We broke it today. There it
No,
goes.
the key is don't move. Just don't touch anything. Literally, when you get there, just don't touch anything. Otherwise, it keeps you out sometimes.
So this is what we were recording this for Anna. So anybody that comes in this room will get to see this.
Oh my god.
I'm so
Where's
happy
Ricky?
to be here. Welcome to this
nice.
world. This is all created by the community.
I believe Danish made it. It's Jimith. It's so incredible.
Wow, this is great.
That's so cool.
Yay,
Oh, and the cartridges, that's so cool. Oh my god. So,
Yeah, man.
I'm dressing as Anna.
oh,
What's that?
oh, you can.
I can't. Jimith made that music. You know what I mean? Like
That's
played that.
awesome.
It's fucking incredible.
It's brilliant, man.
That's a nice look gamer tag.
Oh, thank you very. Hello, big
Well,
boy.
this thing
It fits
flashes.
So, is this gonna be like a permanent room or something?
Yes,
Yeah,
this is
we're-
only
yeah,
for the public.
I just
now.
have a couple things to do, and then I'm going to open up to the public, so anybody will be able to come.
Oh,
in
so
and check
cool,
out the-
guys. So amazing.
Listen, Ricky.
Reality needs to be asked.
Yeah?
Try to join us, but you can get to.
Jimith is the man who done the guitar in. Then you just.
Oh, who's
Oh, so cool, dude. That's awesome.
Nice picture, man.
Like,
That's so cool.
But I was going to say, Richard, without you and Anna, none of this would have happened anyway. So
yeah, and like it's really it's so amazing, man. It's so amazing to like see this, and it makes me so happy as well. So thank you so much for this. This is so cool. Yeah, well, and I love this thing too.
Welcome to Pixel.
There's Anna.
Anna, how crazy is this? How cool is this? Oh my god, where is she? This is so cool.
Nice.
They put a lot of work here. It's crazy.
Yeah, oh my god, I love it.
Pixel Whip.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here.
I didn't see that before.
Oh my god, I'm so confused. 2 Annas.
After party. PSVR Chat Show after party.
Reality is here. I don't know if he's in a party or anything, but he tried to join. But
We're all just hanging out now.
It's great.
Gamertag stole your outfit.
How do I look?
Killing the live stream.
Oh, you look so good. It's gorgeous.
Do you like my legs? Look at my legs are beautiful.
Oh, nice outfit. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Did you make the one that you had on Twitter? Was that did you the cosplay?
That one was my brother actually. My brother built it, and my aunts they did the dress, and they. Yeah, for VR Awards I can't wear that, but I'm gonna be wearing like a black tie version of the Dot cosplay.
Yeah, it's so funny because they didn't let. She actually asked. It's a black tie event, and she asked, "Can I wear my costume?" And they were like, "No." So she like bought her like a green dress with the same color with a like a pink sash, you know. Yeah, so it's. I told her to like smuggle the helmet into the awards, and if she wins, like she will put the helmet on and.
I'm gonna bring the helmet, and I'm gonna wear it.
Because that's discrimination if you can't wear what you want to wear.
Yeah, you know, and my cosplay is pretty decent, right? It's a decent clothes.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that cosplay is incredible. Yeah, I think it makes everything just so much better.
I'm glad they
do it. I don't understand. I think they just don't get it, right? The VR community, there's people organizing the event. It's better having a cosplay there than no one cosplaying, right?
I don't know if you got it. I invited, but I don't know if
it's fun, you know?
Yeah, send him an invite.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't know if you got it.
Well, what we should do is if you win, we should say like a secret word that everybody here knows.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
That was like.
Oh, yeah. I cannot read. I can't hear what What did you say?
Cool. Thank you, man.
It worked really well.
So loud. She said it best. And with that being said, I think it is time to kill the stream. You got to see the show. Check out everybody else's. Man, we all really hope you enjoyed this. A lot of work was put into this. A lot of people were putting time and effort and thought into this thing. And the next one will be hopefully sometime the end of October. Don't know for sure. Not really supposed to say. But tune in. Keep an eye out for the chat show. Appreciate everybody. And this was it. And officially no longer live. Thanks. Bye.